Welcome back to the Scary Alvarez podcast. I always appreciate it, you being here with me. And obviously, we're glad you're here listening to this one. If you have not yet listened to my previous podcast, which dropped last Friday, I called it Wisconsin Badgers Generations. It's a real nice, in-depth roundtable with a quartet of former Wisconsin players, Sitchy and Norvell, Bernie the Hebrew Hammer. It's just a real great, fun, insightful 35 minutes that I think is worth your time. So definitely give that a look. I always appreciate it. Switching gears a little bit, although we're going to stick with football. I promise you we'll have some basketball content. Obviously, the Hoops team plays Monday night against Campbell in their first regular season game. I think that's going to go fine. We're going to talk about quarterbacks today. Wisconsin Badger quarterbacks. This year specifically. Unless you have been trapped under a rock or a Gopher fan, you have noticed that 2025 has been, if not the worst, certainly one of the worst quarterback seasons in modern Wisconsin Badger history. It started out with a bang, Billy Edwards Jr. going down the second quarter of the season opener. He's just played a few snaps since then. And then we turn to transfer Danny O'Neill, who had a promising start, albeit against a bad team, but just never really was able to show the kind of results that you'd want from a backup, making several people wish for Braden Locke. That gives you any insight. So next man up, Hunter Simmons. Real nice guy. I've said it before, probably going to make a great accountant or lawyer or teacher someday. The guy is not a Big Ten quarterback. And I'll say he's shown some guts pretending to be one. And then there is Carter Smith, four-star true freshman quarterback from Florida. Not seen him yet, but now we are in that merciful, is probably the best word for it, stretch run of 4 games. And it just so happens that you can play in 4 games and still maintain your freshman eligibility for the next season. So where are we and where are we going? And all of this is said not knowing 100% for sure who the coach is going to be for Wisconsin next year. I know there's some recent indications it is going to be Luke Fickell. So we're going to, obviously, since Luke Fickell is the one making the decision right now on who to play, we're presuming it as if Luke Fickell is coaching, if not for nothing else, to have a successful end of this season, but potentially looking at next season as well. There's some relevance there. If you're coaching, your decisions that you make now have to have some foresight into how they may affect next season. Okay. So we got those 4 quarterbacks I mentioned. And by the way, please like and subscribe. I always appreciate it. PJ Fleck recently did his new podcast, and he was doing German dancing with lederhosen on to old Jackson 5 music. Really puzzling stuff. But you don't have to worry about that if you're on the old Scary Alvarez podcast. So let's click these off here. I do not have any definitive information on this. So I don't want Billy Edwards Jr. to catch me in a dark alley somewhere. Don't let that red hair fool you. He's a big kid. Got some muscles. But there's often, as you know, fire where there's smoke. And there's a lot of smoke from a lot of different sources that is telling me with some level of certainty that Billy Edwards Jr. has taken his last snap for the Wisconsin Badgers this season. He has played in enough games, or a few enough games, where he can come back in 2026 as a medical redshirt. So I do not think we're going to be seeing Billy Edwards Jr. You can take your Sharpie and mark through that name, which leaves us with fewer names. Let's go to Danny O'Neill. And it was kind of interesting. There was kind of a Danny O'Neill train back there in September. Had a pretty solid game against Middle Tennessee. Wasn't great against Alabama, but didn't completely fold. I mean, this playing in Jordan Hare against a really good team. And then there was some injury stuff. And again, like I noted with Billy Edwards Jr., I'm not a sleuther in terms of knowing all of the information. But there, again, is a lot of smoke. Where there is smoke, there is often fire. That has suggested, at least, that Mr. O'Neill's head may no longer be in the fight for the Wisconsin Badgers. He would be a little less daunting if I came upon him in a dark alley than Billy Edwards Jr., but I don't want to draw his ire as well. But, I will not say it's impossible that Daniel O'Neill will play, because I do not know that. He's on scholarship and presumably getting some NIL money from Luke Fickell and the University of Wisconsin. So he may play. But the fact there's even a question mark about this for reasons unrelated to health could explain Luke Fickell's waffle, Lego my ego stuff when people are confronting him about why he's playing Hunter Simmons. Oh, yeah, well, I guess I should have given that some thought. Kind of winking off stage to someone. This is just such a shit show, guys. So let's move on to the next man up, Hunter Simmons. And I've mentioned this more times than I can say. I said it earlier. I'm wishing nothing ill against this guy. He's got guts. Seems like a good dude. Stand-up guy. Is not a Big Ten football quarterback. Sorry. Wisconsin is not in a position, if they keep losing, to have a higher draft pick or something, where you can make a justification for it. You want to put the person that puts your team in the best chance to win a given football game and hopefully get some meaningful snaps looking ahead to future games and future seasons. Hunter Simmons is not that guy, as we well know. I don't think I'm saying anything strange here. So we've Sharpied Billy Edwards Jr.'s name off. We put a pencil through Danny O'Neill's, but that's an erasable pencil. I don't want to say I've cut Hunter Simmons' name with a pair of scissors and let it fall into the trash bin, because that sounds kind of mean, but that's sort of what I'm doing. So there's Milos, who's by all accounts a decent dude, also has no business playing in Big Ten football games. And your 4-star crown jewel of your recruiting class from 2025, a gentleman by the name of Carter Smith, a once Michigan commit who saw the writing on the wall with Underwood, decommitted, and came to be a Wisconsin Badger early in 2025. To set the scene for Carter Smith, you can see the highlights. There's some suggestion that he's a really, really good athlete, maybe a little bit raw from a passing perspective, but certainly has a lot of those boxes you check when you're looking for a quality dual threat prep quarterback. I don't have to speculate when I say this before we discuss Carter Smith. Kenny Guyton has said as much. Early in the season, Carter Smith was not preparing as if he was going to be playing the season. I'm not calling out any specific thing with his preparation, but his quarterback's coach, to the press, noted that Carter Smith had a redshirt mentality. And coach and pupil worked through that, and the switch went on, and Carter Smith changed his attitude. And presumably has since then been preparing as if he could play. I am not in those practices. I don't know how many snaps Carter Smith is or is not getting at this point. He may be running the scout team for all I know. But what I can tell you objectively is, given where the Wisconsin football season is, given what we know about Billy Edwards Jr., Danny O'Neal, and Hunter Simmons, Carter Smith should be the quarterback taking the snaps for the Wisconsin Badgers at the start of their next game against Washington this Saturday, 2:30 in Camp Randall. I'm going to say it again for the kids in the back of the room, or on the off chance that Luke Fickell's listening to this, because far too often this season, the logical thing has not been done in that coaching staff. Carter Smith should be starting for the Wisconsin Badgers this Saturday against the Washington Huskies. This is not a close call, guys. Now, if there is some reason that he cannot do so, A, it's already been decided he's going to be transferring. He's made that known to the coaching staff. That's a wrench that I'm not contemplating with this edict. Obviously, that would change things. I don't think that's true. I've not heard anything that would suggest that's the case. More disturbingly, perhaps, there is always the possibility that he simply is not ready to play in a Big Ten game, a la Mabry Matoyer in 2024. I hope that's not the case. I again have heard nothing to indicate that he has looked terrible in practice or anything like that. I don't know that, and I'm not going to presume that. I'm going to presume that offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes, under the tutelage of head coach Luke Fickell, has been, given the situation and how bad the quarterback play has been, and who may or may not be checked out, that Carter Smith has been getting substantial snaps, if not first-team snaps, in the last 2 weeks since the Ohio State game with the bye week. If these other externalities are not true, again, for reference, if Carter Smith has not informed the coaching staff that he is not going to be back, or if Carter Smith is not a total disaster, which we don't think he is, not ready to play in a Big Ten football game, it is absolutely inexcusable coaching for him not to get snaps, meaningful snaps, if not the start, against Washington. If you are serious about him potentially being the quarterback for Wisconsin in 2026. Okay. It's about winning games this season. It's about trying to be as competitive as possible you can be this season and giving your team the best play from the quarterback position that is possible with this roster. But it is also a potential audition for Carter Smith. It's not to say if Carter Smith comes in and doesn't play up to snuff that he wouldn't have a chance to win the job next year, that he wouldn't want to stick around. I'm not saying that. But if he goes in and it's a complete disaster, that tells you something about what you need to head into next year. It's more information for your coaching staff. Remember at the start of this podcast, I said I was talking about this as if Fickell was coming back next year. So that's the only thing we can do is talk about it that way, because Fickell's the one making the coaching decisions and the starting quarterback decisions. But if there is something fundamentally wrong with Carter Smith and his potential ability to win the Big Ten quarterbacking job, and I do not think there is any, it's still a kind of a side benefit of giving him some time. So I'm going to be clear, to the point, get y'all out of here, listen to some other podcasts, have some fun today. Get ready for that Wisconsin basketball game. Carter Smith should be behind center at 2:30 p.m. this Saturday against the Washington Huskies for the Wisconsin Badgers. Unless there is something terrible that I do not know about Carter Smith. And that would be a problem in and of itself. You know, we talk a lot about the bad luck that Luke Fickell has had at the quarterback position. And, you know, look, there's some truth to that, especially last season, losing to a guy against Alabama, game 3. But there's not a lot to give me confidence about these guys knowing how to manage a quarterback or develop quarterbacks. I don't know. Just really rough. But one thing to change that perception would be Carter Smith coming in and looking competent on Saturday for the Wisconsin Badgers. Fingers crossed. And Scary Alvarez is out.